This podcast is brought to you by the School of Advanced Study, University of London. All of our podcasts are available from our website, www.sas.ac.uk.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. My name is Sarah Chandler, and I'm part of the Caravana, the Colombia Caravana, a group of lawyers from the UK who have listed Colombia in support of human rights defenders and to investigate the situation of human rights lawyers at risk. And as part of our work, we specifically support ACADEUM, the organisation of which Edwin Rubio is president. And this is part of our series of seminars. And the next one, I'm going to do a quick bit of publicity for it. It's on the 6th of December, not here at the Institute, but in One Mitre Court in the Temple. And that's, again, at 6 o'clock. There's a leaflet about it, please pick it up. And then the Institute's programme of events is on this leaflet, on the table outside. You'll see that on Wednesday this week, there is a talk in conjunction with the Solicitors International Human Rights Group on Belarus. Please pick up that leaflet as well outside. And on the 5th of December, Simon Pirani is going to talk on Russia, the economy of Putin. So please, if you're interested, pick that one up. And then the last one, I'm saving to the last. I hope that all of you would be interested in coming to the Asociacion. It's a great event. It's on the 25th of November. We have got tickets on sale tonight, and it's in a very accessible place, the Crypt, Clerkenwell. Some of you may know it because it is a tango venue. We're going to take it over and make it a salsa venue. And it's very reasonable tickets for a salsa class, a party, refreshments, including drinks, and I think you'll have a great time. And it's our farewell party for Edwin Rubio before he leaves next day for Colombia. So as you're here to welcome him, then I think it'd be really nice if you were there to wish him well on his return to Colombia. So please pick up leaflets about the Asociacion as well, and buy tickets. We happen to have a few here. So they're very reasonable. They're £15 for practitioners and £10 for students, trainees, pupil barristers, legal aid people, etc. Anyone who can justify having a concession. Now, this here we're going to put on the tables outside afterwards, because this is very well worth supporting ACADEUM by buying the T-shirt, 3 different colours, only £10, and the bag for £12. So those will be on sale afterwards on the table. So without any more ado, I'm going to ask Edwin Rubio to speak with our coordinator of the Caravana, Nikki Evans, as his interpreter. So welcome, bienvenido a London.
Un saludo a todos y a todas. Agradecerles la invitación que nos han hecho la caravana de juristas que trabajan aquí en el Reino Unido.
I'd like to greet everybody here and to thank the Colombian Caravana UK Lawyers Group for the invitation to come to the UK.
En nombre de todos los abogados y abogadas que defendemos derechos humanos en Colombia, realmente es importante esta visita y realmente ha sido significativo y lo sigue siendo la solidaridad que ustedes han compartido con nosotros.
On behalf of all the human rights lawyers in Colombia, I would like to note how important this visit is and the significance and importance of the solidarity of the international support.
En la noche de hoy voy a explicarles un poco en qué estado se encuentra Colombia a nivel de justicia y qué esperamos de cara a su futuro.
explain a little about the current situation in Colombia in terms of justice and what we expect from the future.
En Colombia se está hablando de un periodo de posconflicto y un proceso transicional hacia la democracia.
In Colombia at the moment, the term post-conflict is being used, and people are talking about moving towards democracy.
Yo rápidamente explicaré los esquemas que existen frente a este proceso, en donde realmente evidenciamos que la impunidad hacia las víctimas persiste.
I'm going to explain a little bit about the systems that exist around post-conflict and work and movements towards democracy, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the impunity that exists.
Según varios autores y tratadistas, existen 4 categorías o 4 formas de avanzar hacia una transición hacia la democracia.
According to various authors, there are 4 categorized ways of advancing towards democracy.
El primer punto es perdones amnésicos. Perdones amnésicos.
The first is pardons with amnesia, legal amnesty, legal amnesty.
Y esto se ha vivido en el proceso que se ha llevado a cabo con los paramilitares en Colombia.
And an example of this would be the demobilization of the paramilitaries, the process that's taken place with them in Colombia.
Otro elemento en la categorización, en las categorías, están los perdones compensadores.
The second category would be compensatory pardons. Just compensation.
Y esto ocurre generalmente cuando 2 grupos armados se generan autoamnistías porque sus crímenes son múltiples.
And this type of process tends to occur when armed groups decide to demobilize themselves because of the quantity of crimes that have been committed.
Otra categoría, la tercera, se llaman perdones responsabilizantes. Y esta consiste en que realmente se lleve a cabo un proceso de transición hacia la democracia donde la sociedad civil se haga partícipe.
The third category is about taking responsibility, and it's a process towards democracy in which civil society has a role and participates.
Y una cuarta categoría son las llamadas transiciones punitivas, en donde un actor armado ejerce una serie de purgas y sanciones hacia el actor armado en sí.
And the fourth category is the punitive category, by which whichever the winning armed side takes measures to purge their opponents.
Bajo esta lógica se resumen las fórmulas adoptadas por los diferentes estados cuando han llevado a cabo procesos de transición hacia la democracia. Para el caso colombiano, evidenciamos que solo puede ser una medida de largo aliento, la oportunidad de generar unos perdones responsabilizantes.
In the case of Colombia, we can see that there's an opportunity to look at the long-term trajectory in terms of seeking to hold people responsible for the situation.
También evidenciamos que hay otros esquemas en materia de lo que pudiera ser una transición hacia la democracia, dependiendo de la elaboración, de la forma como se llegó allí.
There's also evidence of other routes towards transparency and towards democracy, but that depends on the situation and how the countries arrived at the point that it is.
Estas fórmulas son la justicia impuesta, las autoamnistías, los perdones recíprocos. Perdones recíprocos y transiciones democráticas.
Recíprocos y processes that might support this would be imposed justice, self-amnesty, self-imposed amnesties, reciprocal pardons, and legitimate transition towards democracy.
Aquí es bueno comentar que en Colombia hay un régimen legal, pero que es ilegítimo, carece de legitimidad.
At this point, it's worth noting that in Colombia there is a legal regime that is actually illegitimate.
Nuestra historia, en nuestra historia colombiana, el Estado fue primero que la nación. El Estado nació primero que la nación.
In Colombia's history, the state was born before the actual country.
Por tanto, el orden legal carece de legitimidad y es por tanto erróneo hoy en día pensar que la nueva ley de víctimas por sí sola va a generar un proceso de democratización en Colombia.
Legal order requires legitimacy, and therefore I don't believe that the victims' law is going to be sufficient to provide proper democracy.
Otras leyes en el pasado buscaron reivindicar a las víctimas y reivindicar también la tierra de los campesinos que les fueron robadas.
There have been other laws in the past that have sought to vindicate the victims and the campesinos, the peasant farmers who have lost their land.
Sin embargo, fracasaron los gobiernos en este intento porque nuestra clase dirigente es una clase autoritaria y que ha concentrado la riqueza y las tierras desde siglos atrás.
However, the governments have failed in these previous efforts because the current ruling class is an authoritarian ruling class, and since the last century has and this dynamic has been in place for the last century.
En Colombia persiste el problema de la tierra. En Colombia no hemos elaborado la reforma agraria que ustedes hicieron hacia el siglo XVI.
In Colombia, we continue to have a problem with land. We haven't managed to undertake agrarian reform as has happened here since the 16th century.
Es uno de los fenómenos para explicar el por qué existe en Colombia un conflicto armado de tan largo aliento, de tantos años, 40 años exactamente.
It's a phenomenon that explains why the armed conflict in Colombia has continued for over 40-50 years.
Bajo el esquema que les planteo, en Colombia se ha vivido un proceso de autoamnistía con los paramilitares y ahora se quiere evidenciar un proceso de ley de víctimas en donde al reparar con dinero a las víctimas se considera que se logra realmente un proceso de verdad y de justicia.
Underneath according to the view that I'm going to explain, the situation in Colombia has been characterized by self-imposed amnesties on the part of the paramilitary armies, and at the same time there have been processes to provide victims with reparations, but without justice.
En el caso del fenómeno paramilitar, lo que se evidencia es que existen y persisten grupos paramilitares regionales en todo el territorio colombiano.
In the case of the paramilitary phenomena, new paramilitary groups continue to exist across all the different regions in the country.
Tal vez después pudiéramos mostrarles los mapas con los actores armados que persisten en el país.
Maybe later we may be able to show you some of the maps that indicate where all the new armed actors and armed actors that are not demobilized, where they all appear across the country.
Uno de ellos se denomina las Águilas Negras y hace presencia en 115 municipios del país.
One of these groups is called the Black Eagles, or Águilas Negras in Spanish, and they are present in 115 different municipalities across Colombia.
Según estudios de la Defensoría del Pueblo, otro grupo se denomina Ejército Gaitanista Popular.
According to studies by the State Human Rights Ombudsman, known as the Defensoría, there is another group which is the Popular Gaitanese Army.
Tiene presencia en 112 municipios de Colombia.
And this paramilitary group is present in 112 different municipalities in Colombia.
Otro también catalogado por la Defensoría o estudiado por la Defensoría se denominan Los Países. Hace presencia en 52 municipios.
A third group present in Colombia and studied by the Defensoría, the Human Rights Ombudsman, is Los Paisas, and they are present in 52 different municipalities.
Y finalmente, el último grupo paramilitar que se produjo después de la desmovilización se denominan Los Rastrojos, con presencia en 52 municipios.
And the fourth group, which has appeared since the paramilitary demobilization, is a group called Los Rastrojos, and they're also present in 52 different municipalities, according to the Defensoría.
Lo que ha ocurrido es que se han desmovilizado los grandes líderes del paramilitarismo, pero los mandos medios han asumido los regionales en conexión con el narcotráfico.
What has occurred is that the high-level leaders have been demobilized, but the middle-level management have continued to function.
Sin embargo, persisten los asedios y los hostigamientos, amenazas y muertes a líderes sociales, sindicalistas y defensores de derechos humanos.
However, attacks, harassment and murders of social leaders and trade union leaders continue to occur.
Los paramilitares no han reparado a las víctimas, no han dicho la verdad sobre sus crímenes y por tanto existe un manto de impunidad en esta ley.
The paramilitaries have not handed over reparation to their victims. They have not told the truth about what happened, and there remains a very high level of impunity around this situation.
El único paramilitar que estaba aportando verdad al proceso fue extraditado. Él se llama HH.
The only paramilitary high commander who has given statements to tell the truth about his crimes is a leader called HH, or HH in Spanish, but he's now been extradited.
Con la extradición de HH hacia los Estados Unidos, la oportunidad de acceder a la verdad por parte de las víctimas se extinguió.
With the extradition of HH or HH to the United States, the opportunity for victims to have access to the truth it was extinguished.
también han ocurrido unas falsas desmovilizaciones ficticias, camuflajeándose el narcotráfico dentro de ellas.
What's also happened is that there have been some false demobilizations where drug traffickers have inserted themselves into the demobilization process in order to hide from normal criminal justice.
Sin embargo, la comunidad internacional está observando a Colombia hoy en día como si realmente estuviese en un proceso de transición hacia la democracia.
Despite this situation, the international community is beginning to look at Colombia as if it were a country in a process of transitional justice.
Para el caso de la ley de víctimas, voy a hablar un poco sobre ella, sobre la ley de víctimas.
I'm now going to speak a little more in detail about the victims law.
La ley de víctimas no es una creación de este gobierno, es una lucha que han dado las personas afectadas por el conflicto de años atrás.
The victims law is not a creation of the government, it's the result of a fight and a struggle of the victims from going back many years.
Es la lucha de las ONGs, de los defensores de derechos humanos, en torno a que el Estado colombiano reconoce su vinculación y su real compromiso con las víctimas.
It's been a struggle by the NGOs and the human rights defenders to force the government to recognize its links with paramilitaries and to recognize the justice owed to the victims.
El gobierno de Edwin Rubio Medina se había negado a reconocer a las víctimas del Estado.
The government of Edwin Rubio Medina refused to recognize the victims.
Este gobierno ha retomado el proceso y lo ha dividido en dos partes. Por un lado la reparación y por otro lado devolver la tierra a los campesinos.
The current government has taken on this process and has divided it into two. On the one hand, there's a process of reparation, and on the other hand, there's a process of returning land to the victims.
De entrada se intenta legalizar el despojo, ya que en Colombia aproximadamente 6 millones de hectáreas han sido robadas a los campesinos. 6 millones. Y la ley solamente habla de 4 millones de hectáreas para devolver.
The law is, in some respects, trying to legalize the theft of land, because 6 million hectares in Colombia have been lost by campesinos who had to flee. However, the law only recognizes 4 million hectares, so there's a disparity of 2 million.
Algo muy grave es que el Estado reconoce la indemnización, pero eso no la hace responsable de crímenes. Es decir, que no hay en la ley una responsabilidad del Estado.
There is a serious problem because the government recognizes the indemnity, but it doesn't recognize its responsibility for the crime.
Lo cual de entrada niega un proceso real de verdad y de justicia hacia las víctimas.
And as such, a true process of justice for the victims is denied them.
De nada sirven los esfuerzos de construir un proceso de memoria histórica en Colombia si el Estado no se hace responsable o se reconoce partícipe dentro de los crímenes que se han cometido en Colombia durante años.
Processes to construct a historical memory are going to be futile, or they won't serve for anything if the government does not recognize its culpability.
Sin embargo, no todo está perdido. Reconocemos las ONGs defensoras de derechos humanos que existe un avance en relación con los pasados años en materia de la ley de víctimas.
However, all is not lost. As NGOs, we recognize that there's certainly been an advance in comparison with previous years.
Se reconoce, por ejemplo, que se avanzó en el reconocer el despojo de la tierra. Otro avance es el de crear mecanismos también de tal forma que se puedan devolver tierra a los campesinos, y la oportunidad también de pagos a las víctimas.
We recognize, for example, that the law finally recognizes the theft of land as a problem. It creates mechanisms to ensure that land is returned to the victims and mechanisms to make payments to victims.
También en la creación de la ley, las mujeres organizadas y defensoras de derechos humanos lograron posicionar el enfoque de género, y la ley tiene en ese sentido unos avances importantes.
When the law was created, women's NGOs were able to influence the process, and so the law has particular notable advances in terms of gender.
Sin embargo, existen puntos problemáticos, como por ejemplo que no existe un componente de verdad.
However, there are problems. For example, there is no component in the law that demands the truth.
No existe un esquema de seguridad para los campesinos que quieran volver a sus tierras, ya que hasta el momento, según informes de Naciones Unidas, existen 49 asesinatos de campesinos que quisieron pelear por sus derechos de la tierra.
There are also no mechanisms contained in the law concerning the security of the victims that wish to return to their land. According to reports by the UN, 49 peasant farmers, campesinos, have already been killed in trying to return to their land.
Y eso que la ley ni siquiera está reglamentada, es decir, no está aún configurada cómo serán las diferentes matices y actividades de la ley.
And that is the situation with the law, even though it hasn't been properly implemented yet.
La ley también se compone de un centro de memoria histórica que reivindicará y hará homenaje a las víctimas de crímenes de Estado.
The law also has a component regarding the establishment of a centre for historical memory in memory of the victims.
También hay un componente de reparación colectiva, donde los grupos sociales afectados pueden pedir indemnizaciones.
There also exists in the law a component for collective reparation, by which social groups can request reparation.
Hay un órgano principal que se denomina Sistema de Atención y Reparación a las Víctimas. Órgano principal. Sistema de Atención y Reparación a las Víctimas.
The law also establishes a body called the System for Attention and Reparation to the Victims.
También se crearán unos comités territoriales para la transición hacia la justicia.
The law also provides for the creation of regional committees to establish transitional justice.
Y una mesa donde las víctimas participarán.
And a round table where the victims can participate.
A nivel regional y municipal.
At both at municipal and regional levels.
Pese a esta creación de organismos, existen muchas dudas, ya que un sistema muy similar se ha creado en el país y es el que se creó para atender a la población desplazada en Colombia.
In spite of the creation of these bodies, there are various concerns and doubts because a similar process occurred to similar mechanisms were put in place to provide support to the displaced population in Colombia.
Sin embargo, lo que se ha podido comprobar es que existe una burocracia enorme, gigante, pero no ha logrado satisfacer a las 4 millones de personas que han sido desplazadas por el conflicto en Colombia.
While it's very clear that an enormous bureaucratic system has been established, this system hasn't managed to meet the needs of more than 4 million displaced people in Colombia.
A pesar de que el lenguaje hacia las ONGs y hacia los defensores en Colombia ha cambiado, lo que le sugerimos a las personas y a las víctimas es que no dejen de movilizarse, que no dejen de reflexionar y pensar y que no cedan ante sus derechos a la verdad.
Although the language on behalf of the state towards the NGOs has changed in Colombia recently, the NGOs continue to encourage the victims to demand their rights and continue to mobilize to protect their rights.
Otro elemento sui generis o muy particular en Colombia es que se quiere hacer un proceso de transición en medio del conflicto armado.
Another element very particular to the Colombian conflict is that processes of transitional justice are being implemented despite the fact that the conflict is still in full swing.
El conflicto armado no ha cesado, solo ha cambiado de actores.
The armed conflict hasn't ended, it has merely changed with a change in actors.
Tal vez ustedes por televisión puedan presenciar que se publicite que las FARC están derrotadas.
You may have been aware from information on the television or in the press that the messages that the FARC are on the brink of collapse.
Es innegable decir que el gobierno colombiano desde hace algunos años ha logrado una ventaja militar.
It's undeniable that the Colombian government has achieved a great military advantage.
Con sus bombardeos seleccionados, algunos sí, otros no, ha logrado asesinar a muchos líderes de la guerrilla, de las FARC.
Through selective bombing campaigns, they have been able to assassinate many leaders of the FARC.
Sin embargo, esto no es garantía de que la guerrilla desaparezca, ya que puede ocurrir un fenómeno paramilitar donde los mandos medios asuman el control y se genere otra forma de violencia.
However, this is no guarantee that this will be the end of the guerrilla, or that the guerrilla will disappear. As the leaders are killed, the medium-level commanders take over responsibility, and this generates a whole new wave of violence.
Por tanto, las ONG defensoras de derechos humanos, lo que exigimos al Estado colombiano es que realmente exista un proceso serio, consolidado de paz, un proceso de diálogo de paz, donde la sociedad civil esté incluida en ello.
Therefore, what human rights defenders are asking of the state is that a serious and true process of peace be implemented that includes consultation with civil society.
Además, resulta preocupante la estrategia del gobierno Santos, ya que es una mirada muy inteligente, porque ha cambiado el discurso en contra de los defensores.
The new strategy on behalf of the Santos government appears to be rather worrying. The discourse has changed.
Porque existe en su gobierno la idea de generar una confianza inversionista en donde los estados y las empresas europeas y norteamericanas observen a Colombia como un lugar pacífico.
There's a desire within the government to create confidence in the investment community of Europe and the US, so that Colombia is viewed as a safe place to do business.
Y bajo esa lógica ha logrado un primer gran éxito con la firma del Tratado de Libre Comercio con los Estados Unidos.
And evidence of the success of this, of attempts to generate this confidence, can be seen in the signing of the Free Trade Agreement.
Por tanto, consideramos que realmente no existe una intención y una vocación de respeto hacia los derechos humanos, sino un interés económico de generar confianza inversionista hacia los mercados extranjeros.
Therefore, we believe that the priority has not been to take on and tackle human rights problems and issues, but rather the focus has been on generating international confidence in Colombia.
El gobierno colombiano actualmente ha generado una estrategia enorme de publicidad del posconflicto.
The Colombian government has generated a large-scale strategy of a large-scale publicity strategy to generate confidence in Colombia.
Y es más, los estudios europeos en materia de democracia ubican a Colombia como un país cada vez más libre.
Equally worrying is that various European studies looking at democracy are ranking Colombia as a country that's becoming more and more free.
Para la publicación de la revista Foreign Policy,
Foreign Policy. In a publication called Foreign Policy,
Colombia aparece como el estado fallido número 44.
Colombia is listed as a failed state and is number 40 in the list.
En el 2006 y 2005, Colombia ocupaba el puesto 20 de los estados fallidos.
In 2005-2006, it was actually listed as at number 20.
Con categorías como desigualdad social, con categorías como deslegitimidad del Estado y con categorías como desplazamiento forzado.
The rankings included categories including inequality in society, the delegitimized state of the government, and forced displacement.
Pese a este estudio, en Colombia siguen existiendo asesinatos, se violan los derechos humanos, hay 4 millones de desplazados por la violencia. Colombia es el país que tiene la tasa del coeficiente Gini más alta del mundo en desigualdad social.
In spite of the trend indicated in the foreign policy statistics, in Colombia assassinations continue. 4 million people are displaced by violence, and the level of inequality remains extremely high.
Y el Estado colombiano está lejos, muy lejos de ser un Estado legítimo para todos.
And the Colombian state remains very far away from being a legitimate state in the eyes of all.
Hay una frase que lo resume todo. En Colombia se dice que la ley es para los de Ruana.
In Colombia, there is a phrase that summarizes this, and it's something along the lines of the law is for the peasants.
La ley es para los de Ruana. La ruana es un traje típico de los campesinos colombianos.
It means the law is for, it's referring to a piece of campesino clothing, so the law only only they have to adhere to the law. Only the campesinos.
La idea del posconflicto ha hecho que el trabajo de las ONGs sea cada vez más difícil.
The idea of Colombia in a post-conflict state makes the work of NGOs even harder.
Ya que la solidaridad de antes se ha venido eliminando, lo cual es una estrategia de ese gobierno.
The solidarity that was in place before is starting to diminish, and this has been a goal of government strategy.
Eso es parte de lo que ha ocurrido recientemente con la corporación del colectivo de abogados José Alvear Restrepo.
This is a phenomenon that is being suffered by the lawyers collective José Alvear Restrepo, CAJAR.
Pero han cambiado la estrategia. Ya no se les tilda de insurgentes o de apoyo a las FARC, sino que los han involucrado con delitos comunes y con hechos de corrupción.
However, the strategies against NGOs such as CAJAR has changed. So rather than there being accusations that they are supporting the guerrilla or are part of the guerrilla, they're now being accused of being involved in common crime or in acts of corruption.
Por eso le pedimos a la comunidad internacional que siga vigilante del caso colombiano, ya que la solidaridad y el apoyo de todos ustedes ha permitido que muchas vidas en Colombia se salven, que vidas valiosas persistan.
Therefore, we ask that the international community continues to support Colombian lawyers and human rights defenders, because the support that we have received has allowed people to remain alive and to continue working and defending human rights.
Colombia ha firmado una serie de tratados y de normas de carácter internacional que solamente de manera formal las ha cumplido, pero que en la realidad sigue estando muy lejos de ser algo cercano al diario vivir colombiano.
As a state, Colombia has signed up to various international treaties. However, the implementation hasn't been successful, and in reality, they do not fulfill the demands of the treaties.
Así es que no nos negamos a un proceso de justicia y transición, pero lo que sí deseamos es que realmente las víctimas en el país por primera vez sean visibilizadas y sean reparadas integralmente.
So we are beginning to encounter a process of transitional justice, and we hope that for the first time the victims will be visible in this process and will truly receive proper reparation.
Hacia el 15 de diciembre serán las últimas propuestas de cambio de la ley de víctimas.
The 15th of December is the cut-off date for any further proposals to changes to the victims' law.
Las ONG defensoras de derechos humanos esperan ser partícipe de este tipo de reuniones para intentar incidir y que las ideas de los defensores queden dentro de la ley.
The human rights NGOs are hoping to be able to participate in various meetings in order to be able to influence the law.
Ha sido rápidamente lo que les he querido comentar en el día de hoy. De nuevo, pues mis agradecimientos y dejando abierta la discusión de lo que ustedes consideren que sea relevante tocar en esta noche.
Finally, I would like to state my thanks to you all and to open the floor to discussion so that we can look at the points and themes that you feel are most relevant.
habría mucho más que decir, mucho más documentos que realizar, pero es un poco extensa el asunto de la traducción, un poco difícil.
There's a huge amount to say on this subject, and there's a huge amount of documentation on this subject. However, it's so extensive, and with the time delay of having translation, we could be here for a very long time, so we'll open the floor to whatever you'd like to.
Okay, so we're going to now take questions, and we have 1, 2, and 3 straight away. We take 3, and well, let's take 3 because they may be related.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the paramilitaries. You showed us how extensively they still operate. So does that mean that the victims' law will be impossible to implement because the very people who displaced in the first place is still active? And I wanted to ask if you think the government has the capacity to get rid of paramilitaries, because they act as if they're that they don't have any control over what they do. But is it true that paramilitaries still collaborate with the armed forces, and what should the government do if it really wanted to get rid of paramilitaries?
I was wondering about displaced persons. If most of them have been displaced, like who's living on, like what's going on that land now? Like if they're returning, would the FARC have to give up the land so that they can return, or does the government have to control the paramilitaries so that they can return? I'm not sure if like all people that are displaced are being displaced by land that has been attacked like by the FARC or by the paramilitaries, or how, like, because there are two groups that are both committing human rights violations, and the government might have a bigger influence on the paramilitaries than on the FARC. So I was wondering how that affects the return process of the people.
Thank you. Could you explain why the extradition of HH to the United States makes the securing of a just outcome more difficult? Why is it that the extradition of this person to the United States makes the securing of justice more difficult?
Okay, so we have the answers for the first 3 questions, and we'll take some more.
Como decía antes, el fenómeno paramilitar existe, aunque hoy se denominen BACRIM, banos criminales.
Looking at the paramilitary question, the paramilitaries, the phenomenon continues to exist, but those groups are now known as BACRIM, which are bandas criminales or criminal bands.
Ya no existe un orden jerárquico de mandos superiores como en el pasado, pero persiste el fenómeno del narcotráfico, el fenómeno de asesinar líderes sociales y el fenómeno del status quo de la tierra.
structures with high-level commanders don't exist as they did in the past. The characteristics remain the same, so they're still involved in drug trafficking, social leaders continue to be assassinated, and they continue to try and maintain the status quo in terms of controlling land.
Si el gobierno puede o si tiene la capacidad de llevar a cabo la ley de víctimas, creo que es una gran incógnita y a la vez es un gran desafío.
In terms of whether the government has the capacity to properly implement the victims' law, it's going to be a huge challenge.
Pero la verdad es que parece algo lejano, ya que el 30 de octubre hubo elecciones regionales y fueron reelegidos líderes políticos con nexos con los paramilitares.
It also seems to be a goal that's very far off. On the 30th of October there were regional elections and political leaders with known links to paramilitaries.
Eso hace que posiblemente los paramilitares sigan controlando territorio y sigan también ubicando y posicionando políticos a favor de ellos.
And so it appears to be quite possible and probable that paramilitaries are continuing to try and control land and territory and are continuing to try and position allies within the state apparatus.
Las personas desplazadas. En Colombia existe una sentencia de la Corte Constitucional que es la T025 de 2004.
In terms of the displaced people, there is a ruling by the Constitutional Court, number T025 from 2004.
La sentencia dice que en Colombia existe un estado de cosas inconstitucionales.
And it states that in Colombia there exists an unconstitutional state of affairs.
Es decir, un fenómeno tan generalizado y tan grave en materia de derechos humanos que el Estado debe tomar las medidas urgentes.
By which it means that currently in Colombia there is such a serious situation and that the state should take emergency measures.
Sin embargo, después de 7 años de la sentencia, observamos que aún persisten 4 millones de personas desplazadas.
However, 7 years after that ruling, we can see that we've still got 4 million displaced people.
Lo que ha dejado ver y lo que ha dejado en claro que realmente el fenómeno se ha salido de la capacidad del Estado colombiano.
What appears to be clear is that the Colombian state has lost ability to control the phenomenon.
¿Quién controla hoy en día la tierra en Colombia? Básicamente las familias que la han controlado desde siempre, en unión con diferentes actores armados y con terratenientes de la tierra.
Who controls the land in Colombia at the moment? It's the families that have always controlled the land, in union with different armed actors and other landowners.
Y lo más grave aún es que la han legalizado y por tanto la ley de víctimas y de tierras posiblemente no sea una realidad para los campesinos.
And the most serious problem is that this situation is being legalized, and the victims' law will not be able to return the land to the victims.
En Colombia se ha llegado a un fenómeno de guerra sucia, en donde los ideales políticos y los ideales sociales se han perdido.
Colombia, a phenomena of dirty war has appeared in which political ideas have been lost.
Pero en realidad el fenómeno de la desigualdad social y de la iniquidad y el empoderamiento, el uso concentrado de la tierra es el gran dilema colombiano.
But in reality, the social security, empowerment, and the extreme concentration of land ownership remains the biggest dilemma in Colombia.
Cada vez que los líderes políticos o líderes sociales han querido luchar por ese tema, han sido en Colombia asesinados.
Every time either social or political leaders have tried to move forward on the issue of land, they have been assassinated.
Como el caso de la unión, del partido llamado Unión Patriótica, del cual fueron asesinados 3.000 personas en el año 85.
An example of this is the political party that was known as the Patriotic Union, and in the 80s, 3,000 of its members were assassinated.
Eso hace que exista en Colombia un clima de desconfianza, que exista un clima de incertidumbre y de escepticismo por parte de las mismas víctimas.
Because of these problems, in Colombia there is a climate of lack of confidence and uncertainty and doubt on the part of the victims.
El proceso de extradición de los paramilitares hacia los Estados Unidos ha significado un manto de impunidad, ya que
in terms of extradition, the extradition process with the United States has led to an increase in impunity.
es real y es cierto que los paramilitares no estaban dando ningún elemento de la justicia ni estaban reparando a las víctimas.
It was clear that the paramilitaries were not telling the truth, nor were they handing over reparations to the victims.
Pero el hecho de transportarlos y de hacerlos prisioneros en Estados Unidos hace que las víctimas tengan menos posibilidad de conocer la verdad de sus muertos.
But the act of transporting them and imprisoning them in the United States has made it even less likely that the victims will have access to the truth.
De los líderes paramilitares, el único que quería aportar hacia la verdad era Jorge Veloso, llamado HH.
Of all the paramilitary leaders, the only one that wanted to give a statement and tell the truth was HH or HH.
En medio de su criminalidad y de su perversión, manifestó en una frase lo contundente que era el Estado colombiano. La frase decía, o las frases decían, que cuando los líderes paramilitares confesaban sus hechos macabros, a nadie le generaba impresión. Muy extraño.
One of the deeply worrying things is that when paramilitaries were giving confessions to various massacres and killings and describing in detail the way people had been killed, it didn't generate outrage. It hardly generated any response.
Pero cuando HH hablaba sobre los vínculos entre el paramilitarismo y los líderes políticos de las regiones colombianas, todo el mundo se escandalizaba y decía que HH era un criminal.
However, when ACADEUM started talking about the links between the paramilitaries and the politicians and the political system, a huge scandal blew up and everybody started calling ACADEUM a huge criminal.
Hay un video del periodista Holman Morris que deja ver muy bien claro todo lo que es un proceso paramilitar en Colombia. El video se llama Impunity.
There is a video called Impunity by a Colombian journalist called Holman Morris, which sets out the paramilitary demobilization scenario in Colombia.
Es un video doloroso donde se evidencia la burla que han tenido los paramilitares y el Estado colombiano para con las víctimas del país.
It's a painful video that sets out the evidence about the actions of the paramilitaries and the Colombian state with regards to the victims in Colombia.
Además es cada vez más evidente el vínculo que existió de forma histórica entre el Estado colombiano y el paramilitarismo.
Furthermore, it's becoming clearer and clearer that the links between the paramilitaries and the Colombian state that have existed are becoming clearer and clearer.
Por tanto, el conocer la verdad de esos vínculos fue algo que la clase dirigente colombiana luchó por invisibilizar.
The ruling classes in Colombia have struggled to keep this truth from public view.
Okay, another question over here and here. One.
En España. Había una parte en que tú decías cuando hablabas de la ley de víctimas que el Estado colombiano había reconocido las víctimas del Estado como tal. Pero hasta donde tengo entendido, después de todas las discusiones en el Congreso sobre la ley de víctimas y la presión de algunas ONGs, se reconoce en efecto las víctimas del Estado, pero en cuanto a reparación, hay una reparación para las víctimas de grupos armados y una reparación para las víctimas del Estado, lo cual implica que sí hay un reconocimiento de las víctimas, pero al mismo tiempo es problemático porque separa la reparación entre víctimas de grupos armados y víctimas del gobierno. ¿Qué crees de eso? Y la segunda, así rápida, si crees que realmente es posible justicia en Colombia en medio de un conflicto armado, pues que todavía sí se puede llegar.
Do you want to say your question in English first?
For the victims, we know that there are two that recognize that the victims of the illegal, the armed groups, but then during the discussion of the victims law, the state also recognized that the state victims. But then for the reparation, we have reparations for victims of the armed groups are victims for the states. But the victims they are all victims from the armed conflict. So why that happens? The other question is: it is possible justice in Colombia without the end to the armed conflict?
And we have there's another one here, another one at the back, and I think there's one more over there. Okay, would you like to?
Thank you. I'm curious to understand how it works with, we have the victims law going through, but on the other side there's the law that's making it legal to keep the land from the people who would like to return and would like to get it back. How does it work in terms of those two laws? You're saying that what victims law that will basically become it won't make a difference. But also here in the UK, there's the House of Commons that will create laws, and then you'll be able to amend those laws and make changes to them in the lords. How does it work in Colombia? I mean, how does the law, and also you said that it was the 15th of December that was the last chance for various NGO groups to contribute to the victims' law. How does the process of ratification of the law go through, and you know, how can you make amendments to it? How does that work?
A question at the back.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Edwin. Very interesting presentation. Two very short questions. Edwin spoke about the role of the paramilitaries, the landowners, the political parties, as far as the land grab is concerned. Can you just explain to us what he thinks the role of the business community, and in particular the large-scale corporations, Glencore, for example, a multinational company involved in some fairly murky deals in other parts of conflict areas in the world, what their role is? And the second very short question is the role of the ICC. Luis Moreno Ocampo and a couple of us went over to Colombia some couple of years ago, made some very dramatic sort of presentations, but what's actually been the role of the ICC, and have they returned back to Colombia?
And your question.
Do you predict what will happen after Cano's death, and how will be the situation after this?
After Cano?
And Cano's death, yeah.
Ok. Primero, frente a la pregunta compañera Espanta. Es cierto, primero hubo una gran lucha, un gran movimiento social en torno al universo de víctimas, es decir, en el que el Estado colombiano también reconociera las víctimas del crimen del Estado. Sin embargo, lo que tú también comentas es problemático, ya que en el universo de víctimas, por ejemplo, los militares también pueden ser incluidos como víctimas.
In terms of looking at the question about victims, there's been a huge struggle and a large mobilization by social movements to insist on recognition for victims of the state. However, there are problems, complications around talking about victims as such. For example, members of the military can also be termed as victims of the armed conflict.
Esto plantea dilemas, como que en un momento dado víctimas y victimarios pudieran ser parte del mismo espacio.
This has caused various dilemmas because you have a situation in which both victims and the aggressors are sharing the same space under the title of victims.
Lo que sí manifesté y dejé en evidencia es que el Estado, en esta ley de víctimas, no se reconoce como partícipe de los crímenes.
What's become clear is that the state has not recognised its role as in causing, in affecting victims.
Si yo creo un museo de la memoria y me falta un actor armado que es el Estado, ¿hasta qué punto es legítimo este museo de la memoria? La verdad. Si se crea en Colombia un museo de la memoria y la verdad, sin el Estado que ha sido un actor armado en el conflicto colombiano, ¿cómo es posible acceder a un proceso de justicia en Colombia?
There are attempts to create a museum or memorial to historical memory, but if the state is not going to recognise its role in the conflict, how is it possible to go forward and achieve justice?
Lo que yo opino sobre un proceso de paz en medio de la guerra es que en realidad, mientras persistan los grandes factores que han originado la guerra, como la concentración de la tierra y el autoritarismo frente a ella, en Colombia no llegaremos a un proceso serio y real de paz.
What I believe with regards to peace processes in the middle of the conflict is that at the moment the key themes, the key problems that generated the conflict initially, such as the concentration of land and authoritarian structure, while those remain in place, it would be impossible for the war to end.
Es muy ingenuo creer que una simple ley le va a devolver la tierra a los campesinos que han sido despojados de ella durante más de un siglo.
It's unlikely that one single law attempting to return land to victims is going to work when those victims, those land grabs have been going on for over a century.
Únicamente con cambios políticos importantes y con decisiones realmente desde la alta política es que se podrá llegar a estadios superables del conflicto colombiano.
Real change and real advancement in Colombia in terms of achieving peace is only going to be possible if there are political changes at a very high level.
Yo lo resumo en una frase: tenemos un problema sin resolver del siglo XVI, que es el problema de la tierra, con una guerrilla que lucha por los ideales del siglo XIX en el marco del siglo XXI.
I'm going to summarize this in one sentence. We have a problem that hasn't been resolved since the 16th century in terms of land. We have guerrilla fighting with ideals from the 19th century, and this is all happening in the 21st century.
Eso hace de entrada complejo entender el conflicto colombiano y todo lo que traspasa ante él.
This helps to highlight the complexity of the problem in Colombia.
Frente a la ley de víctimas, sí, es cierto, aproximadamente se cree que hay 6 millones de hectáreas despojadas a los campesinos. Y la ley habla de 4 millones de hectáreas. Es decir, que cuando planteo que se legalizan es que las 2 millones faltantes no existen.
In terms of your question about the victims law, it's not that there are 2 separate laws, there's just the one victims law, but in terms of it legalising land grabbing, it's because the victims law, 6 million hectares have been stolen, but the law only recognises 4, and so therefore that 2 million is, the land grabbing of that 2 million hectares is being legalised by being ignored in the law.
La ley se
It's
llama,
not a separate law.
la ley se llama 1448. de 2010 y tiene dos componentes, uno de reparación y otro de restitución de la tierra.
The Victims Law is number 1448 from 2010 and has two elements. The first is reparation and the second is restitution of land.
Para hacer una ley se requieren dos debates en la Cámara y dos debates en el Senado.
In order to pass a law, two debates have to occur in the what we view as the Congress and then two in the Senate.
Y la revisión de la Corte Constitucional.
And then it has to be revised by the Constitutional Court.
Después de esto hay un periodo de 6 meses donde el gobierno deberá reglamentarla, la ley, es decir, planteará concretamente cómo hacerla efectiva.
After that, there's a period of 6 months when the government has to work out in detail how it's actually going to implement the law.
El 15 de diciembre es la fecha límite para propuestas de la sociedad civil frente a cómo quedaría reglamentada la ley.
And the 15th of December is the cut-off date for civil society to give suggestions and try and influence that 6-month period process of how it's actually going to be implemented.
El papel de las transnacionales en Colombia.
Moving on to the role of the business community and multinationals in Colombia.
Colombia es un campo expedito y fácil para que las internacionales se apropien de recursos naturales, pagan muy pocos impuestos y el Estado colombiano ha sido permisivo con su ingreso al Tesoro colombiano.
Colombia is an easy place for multinationals to come in and invest, in the sense that they've got some natural resources, very little taxes paid, and the government has been very permissive.
La gran minería a cielo abierto del Cerrejón, de La Golosa, han hecho un impacto ambiental significativo para el país.
Large mining projects such as that in El Cerrejón and La Golosa have had a huge environmental impact on the country.
La construcción de represas unifuncionales han deteriorado los ríos en Colombia.
The construction of single-purpose dams have had a huge impact on rivers in Colombia.
Además, los grupos de vigilancia privada de las internacionales también han cometido crímenes hacia los derechos humanos.
Furthermore, security companies employed by multinationals have also committed a number of human rights abuses.
Y en Colombia, las grandes empresas y emporios económicos están siempre a favor de reformas y recortes en materia laboral, en materia salarial y en materia social.
In Colombia, the large businesses tend to be in favor of cutbacks to benefits to workers.
Existe, por ejemplo, en Colombia muy pocas empresas privadas, de capital privado, que apoyen el trabajo de ONGs o que apoyen el trabajo de líderes sociales.
In Colombia, there are very few businesses that support human rights work or human rights defenders.
Por eso también ha sido esencial e importante el apoyo de la cooperación extranjera de los diferentes partidos políticos, gobiernos solidarios con Colombia.
For that reason, the international support of both political parties and governments has been essential.
El fiscal Ocampo, en materia de CPI, ha realizado en este momento se llama preliminar, una audiencia preliminar. La Corte Penal Internacional da la oportunidad de que se abran casos sobre algunos países en conflicto.
Now looking at the visit of the prosecutor Ocampo from the International Criminal Court, The International Criminal Court provides an opportunity for cases to be opened regarding countries where human rights abuses are committed.
Después de la presión de muchas ONGs colombianas, entre ellas el colectivo José Alberto, que hace parte de la FIDH.
Following a large amount of pressure from social movements, including the José Albiar Restrepo Lawyers Collective,
se ha logrado que Colombia exista preliminarmente una investigación.
That this pressure has led Colombia to be included as a preliminary stage in the work of the ICC.
Sin embargo, el fiscal de la CPI ha sido muy político y diplomático.
However, the prosecutor from the ICC has been both political and diplomatic.
Y muy sinceramente le ha dicho a los abogados defensores colombianos que si no abrió un caso cuando estaba el gobierno de Uribe Vélez, que era tan impresentable, ahora con el gobierno Santos, él no está dispuesto a que sea investigado formalmente Colombia.
And the prosecutor said, has told Colombian human rights defenders that, frankly, if a case wasn't opened during the time of President Uribe's tenure, when it would have been most likely, it's extremely unlikely now that a case will be opened under the administration of President Santos.
Lo que he comentado como preliminar investigación no tiene un término de prescripción, no tiene una durabilidad, por tanto es más un elemento político de vigilancia por parte del fiscal.
This preliminary stage is more an observation stage rather than a robust process.
El gobierno colombiano tiene pasantes, tiene abogados y expertos embajadores que hacen presencia en la Corte Penal Internacional.
The Colombian government has experts, interns, etc. in the ICC.
De hecho, hay una historia curiosa de un personaje colombiano que le decían el hombre justicia y paz.
At the moment, there is a Colombian representative in the ICC with the title the Justice and Peace Man.
Ya que él estaba dedicado de día y de noche a hablar sobre las bondades de la ley que ajusticiaba a los paramilitares.
The Colombian state has worked night and day to implement a judicial process around the paramilitary demobilization in order to avoid the ICC, a case occurring in the ICC.
Sin embargo, las ONGs seguimos intentando que el caso colombiano se abra y que sea judicializado el expresidente Álvaro Uribe Vélez.
However, the Colombian NGOs are continuing to try and push for a case to be opened against the former president Uribe.
Cada vez está más cerca, ya que sus inmediatos colaboradores están cada vez más judicializados y son más responsables del fenómeno paramilitar y de las cruzadas del DAS.
However, the situation is coming closer and closer to this happening because the allies of the former President Uribe are being shown to be more and more involved in the DAS tapping scandal.
Y sobre la muerte de Cano, Cano se ha convertido en el líder político y el ideólogo por excelencia de las FARC, debido a su tradición en el Partido Comunista y a su formación como antropólogo.
Regarding the death of Cano, Cano had become a political leader given his background and given his background as an anthropologist and his background as an anthropologist.
Es difícil catalogar a Cano como un criminal. Yo diría que fue un hombre equivocado en la historia y que su papel no pudo ser lo que Colombia esperaba de él.
I would describe him not so much as a criminal, but a man that was wrong, and his role was not what Colombia wanted of him.
Con su muerte, el secretariado de las FARC queda muy debilitado. Posiblemente asuma Iván Márquez o Timochenko.
The FARC secretariat has been left debilitated by his death. It's possible that Ivan Márquez or Timochenko will take over.
Además hay versiones de la ex senadora Piedad Córdoba que manifiesta que el operativo realmente, en lo que ocurrió en el operativo realmente fue que Cano fue ejecutado extrajudicialmente.
According to Piedad Córdoba, it's possible that Cano was actually suffered an extrajudicial execution.
Los bombardeos indiscriminados hacia estos líderes de la guerrilla le han dado una ventaja militar, como lo decía antes, pero esto no garantiza que la violencia que genera la guerrilla termine.
As I mentioned earlier, the bombings against the guerrilla is actually not a guarantee that violence by the guerrilla will cease.
Ellos tienen toda una cadena de mandos de sustituir a un líder que fallece o que fallece en el combate.
They have chains of command so that if a leader is killed in combat, someone can take their place.
Por tanto, también es ingenuo creer que con la muerte de los líderes y cabecillas la guerrilla va a ser derrotada en Colombia.
So it's hard to believe that with the death of leaders, of different guerrilla leaders, that will lead to the end of the guerrilla in Colombia.
La idea del gobierno santo es debilitar a los líderes, negociar con los mandos medios el proceso de paz.
The idea of Santos is to take out the high-level leaders and then negotiate with the middle-level management.
Lo cual no deja de ser perverso, ya que son vidas humanas asesinadas también de una forma grotesca.
Which is perverse, given that these are also human lives.
Y como decía antes, es posible que también la guerrilla entonces, en caso de perder el liderazgo, se creen grupos regionales en vinculación con el narcotráfico.
And as I said earlier, when leaders are taken out, the groups fracture into regional groups and then become more and more involved in drug trafficking.
I think we should come to a natural end here. We've had a very wide-ranging discussion in the seminar, and that is due in part, thank you to all your questions, which have raised issues of interest in general on Colombia. And I think on behalf of all of us, we would like to say thank you and a welcome to London and me to say, if you haven't signed in, please sign the register, because we do like to know if you will be with us. And we have leaflets back Sasathon, and we have stickers for it, and these lovely t-shirts and bags.